Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. YouTube says I'm still alive. Thankfully. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm gonna wait for people to come in. It's around 10:16 p.m. and I just made my coffee, which is why it took me a couple of extra minutes. I was waiting for the water to boil. But I hope everybody's doing well on this Saturday night. I can't believe it's Saturday already. It's gonna be freezing tonight. It's gonna be in the 40s. Well, I guess that's not freezing yet, but it'll be cold enough. And I have animals running around this property like crazy. Um, Possum, a fox, and a zillion raccoons. They're everywhere, and they're hungry. All they want to do is eat, and they're fighting over food. So I'm going to wait a little while. I should actually play some music or something. I've got to go find some non-copyrighted music to play in the background. I always forget to do that. But if you can hear me, if you can hear me, if you could write something in the chat, just say yes, I can hear you, or no, I can't hear you, or hello. I see 4 people. Please remember to hit the thumbs up also. I've noticed that during the chat, YouTube will, maybe play an ad like an hour in, and then after the live ends, they often demonetize the chat. I guess we talk about hi, they end up demonetizing the chat because we talk about so many different things. And of course there could be other, perpetrators just hitting the thumbs down or reporting it or whatever, but yeah, there's a lot of censorship going on these days. Harpos, welcome. Please remember to hit the thumbs up. I'm going to read an article. Actually, one of you subscribers sent it to me days ago, and I just hadn't opened up these emails. I get so much email, and I have so many email accounts, and people don't realize it. Like I have this email account, I've got my personal email account, I've got my eBay account, I've got a target just for targeting, 2 targeting accounts. So I think I'm being targeted. Alice, are you new here? Do I think? I know. I know I don't think about it. I know. Yeah. Have you been watching my channel? Yeah, most of the people that chime in here are targeted people, but we get a few perpetrators and new people and who are curious. No, I don't think that I'm being targeted. I know that I am. Yeah, I know that I am. And you know how you can know that you are? Well, I mean, if it's been going on for years and years, it doesn't stop. If you report things to authorities and they do nothing, regular people, if they report a crime, oh, there's no way to not know. I mean, of course, when the targeting started for me, like 12 years ago, I didn't know what to call it. I knew what regular stalking was. I had a stalker, like a one-person stalker. I knew what that was about. But there were these groups of people that were clueless, and it seemed to me like I even told my lawyer at the time, it feels like a skit. I didn't know what street theater was. So, I would tell him, I said, "It just all feels like a skit, like somebody's, passing out roles and people are just, like, role playing on the street." It was the most bizarre thing. It was like I was in the Twilight Zone, and, it's like my regular normal life started to change, and, people began, being very rude, although people would say to me, like, in New Jersey, like, people are naturally rude. Yeah, the people are naturally rude. Well, Alice, Reed, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not overreacting. If you were being tortured every day, if you were being surveilled every day, if 28 of your cats were murdered, if your mother was killed, if there was a slander campaign in your neighborhood spewing lies about you, yeah, no, but I'm not, that's what I'm saying. This Alice might not be a targeted person. Nicora could be a perp, but he's saying he or she is saying that they've watched a few of my videos and I might be overreacting a little bit. I don't know. Did you see the video of my neighbor tearing down my gate? Or did you see the video of the IEDs being thrown on my driveway, Alice? Did you see those? Or how about a couple of weeks ago, my neighbor driving up at midnight and throwing soiled toilet paper on my driveway? Or the fact that I've been on Neighborhood Wars on A&E, April 11, 2023. I don't mean to be sarcastic here, but when I get a comment like that about being overreacting, it sounds very perpy. It sounds very perpy. And I don't welcome perpetrators, meaning stalkers. I don't welcome them. So it interferes with the flow of things, and the other targeted people here, they have to deal with perpetrators every day of their lives. They gather here so that we can chat and read a book or read an article and to educate ourselves and to just have a safe place. But yeah, so see, there are a lot of things that YouTube won't allow me to post. Like I have some really horrible photos of what they did to my cats. I've got a photo of no, there are no rodents here, Alice. There's no rodents. They're not holes from a rodent. I guess you don't know that I have a nonprofit cat rescue. Okay, so Alice, you can leave now. You're not going to be responded to anymore. Let's see. So Alice, you're going to be gone. Okay. So anyway, hi. Yeah, yeah. I did. This is new to me. So yes. As soon as I see somebody saying the holes are from a rodent, first of all, I have cats and guineas. Okay, when I first moved here, I would find like little field mice and little moles and stuff. But between the guineas and chickens and my cats, you don't find any of that stuff here. I don't even find any worms anymore. I hardly find any good worms. So, no. I mean, there might be an occasional one, like every once in a while in the summertime, one of my cats will drop off a mole and I get really upset, like the poor thing can't see, just leave it alone. But um no, no, it's called I'm getting pick marks. Hi Paul, hi Carn artist, hi. Yeah, but bye bye, crazy Ollie. Uh, hi. Um, so thank you all for showing up here. Um, we can talk about whatever you want, and I found this really interesting article. I didn't find it actually. It was sent to me a couple of weeks ago, but I just was reading the email. in this other email address that I have. And just as an FYI, if anybody is in Kentucky, Kentucky only, and you're a targeted person, I have a separate email address only for Kentucky. Targeted Kentucky people, and it's called targetedkentucky@gmail.com. So I have emails sent there from other targeted people that are not in Kentucky who send them to both of my email addresses. And I just hadn't checked the email address in a while. And I've got like a stack of videos to watch and articles to read. So then I can share them with you guys. But this one is, and I'll read it in a little bit. It's called How to Survive Mind Control, the Essential Handbook on Mind Control Tools and Techniques. It's penned by a victim. So this is written by a targeted person in October of 2023. I'm not exactly sure how long it is. I started to scroll down. It seems like it's several pages. So, oh, and I also wanted to, and I don't know who it is. I received a donation, a heated cat house. I haven't assembled it yet. And at first, I thought it was sent to the wrong person. I thought maybe it was one of my neighbors. And then I looked on my wish list. It wasn't on my wish list, and I didn't receive an email. Usually, if somebody buys something from the Chewy.com wish list, Chewy will send me an email and say, your donation is on the way. But greetings, Battle. Uh, but this person probably went straight to Chewy and ordered it and sent it to me minus the wish list. So I didn't get an alert. I didn't get a heads up that I was receiving a donation. So thank you, whoever it is. I mean, I'll probably announce it on the channel too. I usually have a list of things to say, and then just something always pops up. Like the X in the sky. I don't know if you saw my short for this morning. I'm preparing food for the cats this morning, and literally, as soon as I walk out my door, I look up in the sky, and there was this huge X across my property. They're really trying to X me out, right? I guess they don't like what I'm talking about lately, or maybe it's that I've just been exposing my neurotic neighbors. um, I don't know. I mean, people always say that, yeah, did you see that X? Actually, it was a lot darker, but when I walked out, I was carrying food. I saw it, I had to drop the food, I had to take off my boots, go back in the house, get my camera, my phone, turn it on. So I lost those couple of minutes to get like, a really solid X there. I said, "No, I've gotta get this," because they just X'd out my property. So, but I wanted to thank whoever it was that donated the heated cat house. I will assemble it at some point soon and then plug it in, see if it works. But whoever packaged it at Chewy did a really bad job. Um, there were, and I know that some perp at the Chewy, you get the X's too. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. They have to stop spraying this. I mean, haven't they watched Dane Wigington, his channel? I mean, he's been pretty much calling all this horrible weather as being, geoengineering, and it has a lot to do with what they're doing in the skies. So, hi, Joshua. Welcome, welcome. Well, see, that's so interesting too. Um, when that X is over my property, it doesn't just stay there. I mean, there's wind, it dissipates into the air, and certainly it can be more concentrated in that location, but it doesn't stay there. Like, my neighbor's literally 3 minutes down the block. That stuff is gonna be all over their property too. So I agree, like, they're spraying the sky and maybe it'll be here, but, I look out in the sky and I see this stuff going all the way down the county road. Like, it's not only over my property, it seems like that because that's what I'm reporting to you guys, but it's literally everywhere. So it's all over everybody's property, the water. So yeah, all the Masons are getting the X trails too. It's like within 3 miles of this location, there are four, and can I say it on the channel? The number five and the letter G, those towers and stuff. So there are four of them, and one was newly erected like after I got here. So I guess they just did it knowing that I'm a targeted person. They needed an extra one in the neighborhood. But anyway, whoever it was that donated, thank you so much. Um, so this is I've never heard of this before. This is a blog, and the blog is a Lily Bit, Lily, a Lily Bit. And let me see here. It's quite long. There's a table of contents here. I mean, it's a very professional article. I'll start reading it. But before I do, let me just check the chat one more time, see if any newcomers here. Yeah. Well, it's true. Yeah, Lucifer betrays his own creed. Well, and you know how it goes. It's like, all these perpetrators, the neighbors and stuff, they know too much. So in the end, they're all going to be disposed of. And you think that the powers that be like paying these people? They don't like paying these people. They're going to want their money back. And that's just the way it works. It's ridiculous that they don't think this way. They just don't think this way. Please hit the thumbs up. I see there's 16 people here. Just hit the thumbs up for me. That would really help. But anyway, so I'm going to start. I'm reading this article, How to Survive Mind Control, the Essential Handbook on Mind Control Tools and Techniques, penned by a victim, October 15, 2023. After finishing high school, I embarked on my college journey, opting for NYU. Oh, this is a New Yorker. Okay. The decision marked my return to my hometown of New York, followed by a 13-year stint living in LA. Unfortunately, 2 weeks into the semester, a tragic incident occurred. As I don't know, am I allowed to say this? Well, I think it's going to be allowed because it's not. I'm reading an article. A tragic incident occurred. I was raped on the college campus. This traumatic experience abruptly terminated my college career and plunged me into a profound pit of depression, accompanied by suicidal thoughts, leaving me without a clear path to process the profound trauma I had endured. During one of those dark days, I found myself lying in bed endlessly watching YouTube videos, confined to my room. In that moment, an unexpected glimmer of hope arose when I stumbled upon a U.S. Air Force advertisement. Had I not pursued a career as a pilot, I might have never left that room, and this article might never have reached your eyes. Nonetheless, serving in the Air Force didn't fully mend the emotional wounds. It merely provided a temporary distraction. Then, another unexpected turn occurred when the agency came into my life, exploiting my trauma and subjecting me to mind control techniques that left me disconnected from my own identity and actions. The purpose of this article is to shed light on some of these techniques. It seeks to illuminate not only the government's role, but also the broader context of mind control. This article aims to help you recognize, comprehend, and counteract mind control should you ever encounter it, as our modern world is rife with such manipulation. No matter whether you find yourself drawn to serve as an agent of the state due to the exploitation of your trauma, or the government attempts to convince you that we are all in this together, quote unquote, and that you must take specific actions to safeguard yourself, mind control subtly influences you. This article delves into the essential knowledge that often remains unspoken. It, I hope, will inspire us to send that powerful signal. It's time for us to show that our modern society is strong, courageous, and compassionate. It's time for us to acknowledge and address our collective blind spots, make hidden information accessible, and validate secrets carried by the marginalized survivors of mind control. It's time for us to welcome them home, and if touching my own story helps, I'll gladly do it. So now I'll read you what's in the table of contents: reinforcements, coercive persuasion, rhetoric and dogma, capture bonding and Stockholm syndrome, ritual abuse and programming cues and triggers, false memory syndrome, SMART, SMART responses. That's like an acronym for something. I'm not sure what it is. Hypnosis, shooter syndrome, and mind control of the future. Now there's a lot of chapters here, so I'm not sure how much of this I'll be able to read. We'll see. We'll just start, stop, continue. To attain mastery and exert influence over someone else's thoughts and behaviors, a specific technique or tool proves invaluable, particularly when it facilitates a complete transformation of their existing personality into the desired one. The subtlety of mind control methods can render them imperceptible to the person being influenced, although in numerous instances, the manipulation is executed with a conspicuous, sometimes even ominous approach. Well, I think that's what they're trying to do to all of us. I know when my mom was alive and I was explaining to her what's happening here in Kentucky, and she said to me one day, it just really upset me. She says, "What happened to my sweet daughter?" Like, "I want my sweet daughter back. Like, you're angry all the time." Like, and I said to her flat out, I said, "Mom, if you were being tortured every day, if your house were broken into every day, if your objects were being tampered with, if your clothing was being damaged, if your pets were being poisoned and killed, how would you feel?" And she was just quiet for a minute. It's a horrible thing for a mother to see their child go through that and also see how their personality is transformed as a result of being tortured. And that's basically what it is. And I wish my sweet self would come back again. It won't come back until I think this program is horrible, but I think living here in Kentucky has amped it up a little bit. I mean, it's really disgusting here. I hate to say it. I looked so forward to moving to Kentucky, like, it's so pretty, but I can't wait to get out of this effing place. I will never come back to this state ever. I will never come back here. But anyway, let me just check the live stream. Oh, you want a link? Okay, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you. Here's the link. Okay, I just posted the link to the article that I'm reading now. Well, thank you, Ace of Cups, that you say that I'm well adjusted, at least based upon my situation. I mean, I have my moments, let me tell you. I do. I have my moments, I have my days and stuff, but I think it all depends on our inherent personality traits, um, our upbringing, our natal chart. I just have to add that, our birth chart, you know? And, like I've said it before, like, I am Pluto, hear me roar, you know? My birth chart, I wasn't always like this. I was very actually, when I was younger, I was very shy. I was very, very shy. Public speaking was not I didn't like public speaking. I remember the first time I had to speak publicly in a college and, talk about my paper and stuff, and I was a nervous wreck. I'm not like that anymore. That ended probably in my late 30s, early 40s, whatever. So, yeah, the conspicuous surveillance. I mean, it's so obvious. Okay, this is how you know you're being surveilled inside your home. Oh no, no, not my mom. No, my mother knew what was going on. My mother even said to me when I was describing to her what was happening, she said, what does she call it? Those ca I just it's just escaping me. She knew exactly what it was. So much to the point that she hired, a security consultant. She didn't tell me. She brought the security consultant from New York and drove here with them. They wouldn't even talk in my house. So, no, my mother did everything possible. She knew what was going on. My mother witnessed it. She witnessed it because she knew how impeccable my house was. She knew how healthy my cats were and that they were suddenly becoming sick. Like, not just a little sick, like deathly sick. Cancer of the nose, cancer of the throat, and having their eyes torn out of their head on Christmas Day and thrown out in the rain on a driveway. How do I know that I'm targeted? Street theater crazy stuff. How about here in Kentucky? They took a pregnant rabbit, cut it in half, and stuck it in front of my house, and you could see the umbilical cord attached to the fetus. And I've got photos of it, but I can't show you. I can't show you these things on YouTube. But yeah, that's what they do. In New Jersey, I found a baby rat, a dead baby rat on my driveway, a dead baby mouse, a dead fish. Like, where does this stuff come from? Weird stuff. Well, they do relish on my destruction. I mean, I've lost half of my hair since I've moved here. Um, Even the spacing between my teeth. This sounds really weird. I had really tight teeth. I've got a small mouth, too many teeth, too tight teeth. I moved to Kentucky, and literally after a year, the dental floss just slides right through my teeth. It's like I'm losing uh, flesh or volume. My face has changed since I'm living here. They're targeting my face. They use DARPA insects on me, controlled bugs. I mean, it sounds crazy. It sounds bizarre, but that's really what's happening here. And my neighbors are nuts. They're totally nuts. Not that they weren't in New Jersey. The difference is in New Jersey they pretended to not be nuts because they walked around like regular people in really beautiful clothing, well-mannered, beautiful homes and stuff. But then they'd sneak out of their houses. They sneak out of their houses and hide. They'd hide in the shrubs and then jump on my porch. They'd spray like this perfumey stuff on my porch and stuff. Yeah, the radiation, all of us get that. It's, we get we're poisoned with radiation. Poisoned. But anyway, I'm gonna get back to this, article here. So, let me see. Okay. According to the insights of psychologist and author George K. Simon, as articulated in his work In Sheep's Clothing, Understanding and Dealing with Manipulative People. That's a book. Effective manipulation of another human being necessitates the manipulator or abuser to adhere to four critical principles. Now, mind you, I'm adding this, mind you. Now, back in the day, they weren't privy to the kind of weaponry that's being used on us now. There was no 5G back then. There was no 4G. There were no cell phones. When I was growing up, I had a princess phone. It was tied into the wall, and you had to dial it. You had to remember the phone number by heart or write it down. Otherwise, you would not be able to call anybody. There was no, like, redialing. You had to actually, and then I graduated to the push button. So, first I had the little one where I had to stick my finger in it and turn the dial, and then I graduated to the little princess phone where you just press the little buttons. It was so cute. Because if you does anybody remember those telephones? Or am I just giving my age away? Do you ever have a corded phone? So, no, my mom, was very supportive. She was very supportive. In fact, when I moved here, she bought me a radiation protection, um, radiation protection bracelet that was stolen from me by these criminals. Yes, the party lines. Did you ever have a party line? Yeah, I remember those party lines. Yes, that was the good old days. It was fun back then. You could you could actually hear your neighbors sometimes. Yeah, the rotary, that's what it's called. The rotary phone. So first I had a rotary phone and then I had the little push button ones, the little princess phone, cute little princess phone. Yes, we had the ringtones. Yes, yes. And the best thing, this is I told my daughter this story when she was younger, like she was an early teen. I told her that when I was a teenager, like when I was her age and I would go out and hang out with my friends, on the corner, and you always had change. You always had change in your pocket and stuff because you always had to call home for some reason. But there were telephones on like every street corner. And then instead of putting all the money necessary into the phone to call my mother, you'd put like a quarter in or whatever, and then you reverse the charges. So you call the operator and you have the operator call your home phone, and the operator would announce your call um, to your parent, and the parent would say, "Oh, yeah, I accept the call." so, my daughter thought that was the coolest thing that you had a telephone that you could reverse the charges by calling home and calling the operator. Yeah, phone booths. Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? When I moved here to this property, the former owner had a phone booth here, and it was beautiful. But after about a month of living here, these criminals here crushed the glass. So, yeah, it was fun. It was fun back then. I don't know. I loved growing up in the 60s and 70s and the 80s. Like I love the 80s. Like I'm still stuck in my 80s music anyway. Okay, so these are the four critical principles for effective manipulation of another human. One, conceal their aggressive agenda and true intentions. Well, I don't know, guys. If you've seen some of my videos of my neighbors, they're not doing a real good job of concealing their aggressive agenda or true intentions. Two, understand the psychological vulnerabilities of the intended target and adapt their tactics accordingly. Well, evidently, with anybody who's a pet owner, they always target your pets. And here, they're targeting my property because they know how much money and work I put into it since I'm living here. But that's okay. I just rat them all out. Number three, exhibit a level of ruthlessness that allows them to disregard any harm inflicted upon the victim. You hear that? Now that is psychotic. That is psychotic behavior. That is sadistic, psychotic, malignant, narcissist behavior. Exhibit a level of ruthlessness that allows them to disregard any harm inflicted upon the victim. Now, that in and of itself is indicative of a very large portion of the incarcerated population. Four, employ covert aggression in the form of relational or passive aggressive strategies. Oh, yeah, I've got one neighbor like that. I haven't spoken about her yet. Yeah, because that's that one neighbor who was like the good cop, the animal lover and stuff, but she was all in on it too. It took her quite a few days for her to manipulate me into taking the cat that I have now, the black cat. Crucially, the ability to discern the weaknesses of the victim plays a paramount role in achieving control, and many practitioners of mind control possess a keen and perceptive insight for identifying these vulnerabilities early on and subsequently exploiting them through a diverse array of methods. So, this is what they do. And a lot of targeted people have said that, oh, I got targeted in 2020. Oh, it was 2018 or whatever it was, whatever date you think it was. But they were surveilling you probably a couple of years before because they're creating a psychological profile on you. They want to see what you eat. They go into your garbage pail, they pick through your trash, they comb through, your internet contacts, your Facebook, your social media. They want to get a full profile. So that's another reason why they start following you around. They want to see where you go. They want to see how you respond to being tailgated. So now the first heading here is reinforcements. One of the more subtle ways to make someone do what you want them to do uses reinforcement as both a tool and a weapon. Positive reinforcement uses praise, flattery, admiration, attention, affection, gifts, charm, sexual desire, declarations of love to create a sense of absolute adoration of the victim. This kind of technique is used by narcissists and psychopaths to secure a victim by what is called love bombing and setting the victim up on a pedestal for what will unfortunately be a brutal and abusive fall from grace once the desired outcome is achieved. Positive reinforcement is used in training dogs and horses too, and does wonders compared to punishment. When used for the benefit of the individual, such as in giving positive praise to a child in school or training an athlete, this kind of reinforcement can build confidence and self esteem. Interestingly, its opposite also serves the same dual role for helping, harming the targeted individual. Positive reinforcement is often used in cults, especially in the early stages of creating a bond between the cult leaders and members. And I just want to add something on that. I believe that many of the people that are targeting us are part of a cult. I know that, a lot of the Christian people don't want to entertain that thought, but a lot of what's happening to us is very cult like. This is also a popular way of bringing followers into a religious organization by telling them that they're chosen or special in the eyes of God, and serves to create an image that leaves no room for negative behaviors or attitude. This can create false sense of love, intimacy, and closeness that can at times, depending on the motives, be turned against the victim later when abusive behavior rears its ugly head. Then there's negative reinforcement. It's the polar opposite, using punishment, criticism, the silent treatment to manipulate the victim into a certain behavior. Negative reinforcement can include things like shaming, guilting, yelling, abusive language, and even physical violence to make someone behave. For a long time, we trained dogs with negative reinforcement, shoving their nose into their poo or slapping them on the nose if they did something wrong, until it was proven time and again that positive reinforcement worked better. Well, that's true. If anybody here is a parent, they always tell you to ignore the negative behavior because it just reinforces it. If it's really bad, of course, it needs to be addressed. But when you approve of the positive behavior and instead of the negative reinforcement all the time, it does work better over the long term. Because nobody wants to be punished, criticized, given the silent treatment. What does that do? That's why Prisons don't work. It's not for reform. It's just for additional abuse. But in terms of human beings, using violence, fear, and virulent language serves as a strong means by which one can degrade, diminish, and dominate. Negative reinforcement would certainly include, at its extreme, torture and ritualistic abuse, which we will discuss in more detail later. I believe most of you already know about these two tactics. However, intriguingly, the most sinister form of this particular tool or technique involves the use of both positive and negative actions. It's called intermittent reinforcement. It's more devious and effective at creating such cognitive dissonance in the victims that they cannot help but surrender control to their abuser. Because intermittent reinforcement relies on doubt, fear, anxiety, expectation, and hope. It plays upon the deepest emotional needs of our humanity and twists and turns them into an ugly display of trauma that can be literally drive the victim insane or to suicide. It works like this. The controller or abuser uses positive reinforcement all the time in the beginning, setting the victim up to crave more positive reinforcement, which is then taken away intermittently to create confusion and anxiety. The victim wants more of what he got in the beginning, and he begins to accept even the negative reinforcement as long as it's prepped in with positive. At this point, the controller abuser can begin to actually torture the victim. And then the victim will become so desperate for the love and attention he once got, he will accept more and more periods of abuse and lack of positive enforcement. Soon, the victim is settling for crumbs of positive behavior from the controller abuser, who now has the victim under complete control emotionally and physically. Writing this evokes memories of a prior relationship I shared with an individual. What they're describing here is it's very similar to being in a relationship with somebody with borderline personality disorder. And I know because I had a relationship with somebody who was diagnosed with BPD. And that's what it's like. It's called it. There's a book called Walking on Eggshells by Randy Krieger. She wrote that book. Yeah, stop walking on. Yeah, stop walking on eggshells. Intermittent reinforcement can lead to obsession on the part of the victim, doing anything to get even a tiny bit of the positive reinforcement he was love bombed with in the beginning. This is known as traumatic bonding in the field of psychology. Oh, that's what they do here with cats. Like they love bomb me with cats. They just dump cats on my property, right? Covert forms of emotional manipulation serve to put the victim under a spell of sorts, because the damage is done on a subconscious level. Some victims claim later they did not even know they were being manipulated until it was too late. And then they had been hooked in psychologically. Sorry about that. That's my phone alarm. That they had been hooked in psychologically, becoming captives to a sick and dysfunctional individual bent on controlling and using them. Not only does this kind of manipulation change the behavior of the victim, it also changes his thoughts and perceptions and his actual reality, and it removes his individual will and power over time. Lest anyone think that only stupid, weak, or desperate people become victims of this kind of manipulation, the easiest victims are actually empathic, compassionate people of all levels of intellect. Controllers seem to know how to zero in on those that have the big, trusting hearts, which is often why children are used in mind control experiments and ritual abuse. Extremely intelligent people join cults or believe propaganda. It has nothing to do with how smart a person is, and everything to do with how trusting, caring, and open they are, which makes them a perfect target for manipulators all along the spectrum. Psychopaths will actually seek out empathic people for abuse, as will narcissists who are both masters at mind control. Let me just check what you're saying in the chat there. Um, any welcome guests to the front door, not to the back door. It's their own insecurities. They fear, yeah, the adrenaline. Yes, yes. They feed on the loosh, the adrenaline. They're addicted to chaos. They're absolutely addicted to chaos. And they violate our boundaries. Yes, the histrionic. Oh my goodness, yes. Oh, I the drama queens, the drama kings and the drama queens are the histrionics. Yes. Ugh. And those people are a piece of work, let me tell you. Yes. Yeah, that Vicky, that's very important. And you know what? Um, when I was counseling people, I would tell them, when they're very impulsive, look, keep in your mind's eye, like visualize a stop sign. We all know what a stop sign looks like. It's red, it's got the word stop on it. And we're kind of conditioned to know that when we're on the road and we see a stop sign, what do? We have to stop. And usually we have to stop at the stop sign for, I don't know, a few seconds, a minute. If there's a light, then the light will tell us when to go again. But sometimes there's a stop sign with a yellow light, and we just have to kind of take our time. So I would counsel people that visualize a stop sign. Like whenever you want to do or say something that you're not sure about, visualize a stop sign and just stop for like 3 seconds or count to 10. And maybe at the end of that counting of 10 or visualizing the stop sign, you won't do or say what you were going to do, over time. You have to train yourself over time. You can take 7, 8, 10 times and yet become almost emotionless when in public because they're watching your every move and expression to access your mental state. Well, that's really interesting, con artist, because when I first moved here and we'll go into town, I would smile at everybody, talk to everybody. But now when I go into town, I wear my sunglasses, I put a hat on, you know, I'm still nice to people. I say thank you and please and and all that stuff. But could you guys hit the thumbs up? Hit the thumbs up, please. Hit the thumbs up. Yield your thoughts. Yeah, that's a good one. Yield your thoughts. It's about remembering to think about them, right? And like before my targeting started, I had taken I guess it was I think it was 6 weeks um, mindful meditation course, and it was so cool. Like I was responding so differently to everything, and some of the exercises were teaching us how to actually enjoy your food by tasting your food, by chewing it and tasting it, and not even chewing it, just putting it in your mouth and tasting and feeling the texture of it first before you enjoy chewing it and then tasting it in its entirety and swallowing it, which most people don't do. I know I don't do it here. I like multitask here. Like I'm grabbing like an energy bar or whatever. I'm taking a sip of my coffee, taking a bite of my bar, running out to get my chickens, open up a box, um, just running around crazy, like raking leaves here and then putting straw there. So I'm not doing that anymore. But I don't know. Somebody told me that multitasking screws up the AI, screws up their program. So maybe we'll just all continue to multitask, keep myself busy. But yes, if you can hit the thumbs up, helps the channel grow, helps the algorithm. Because I mean, usually after I read these articles and stuff, after the live is up for a couple of hours, they usually demonetize it. They say, "Oh, well, it's not friendly and it's not advertising friendly because the subject matter is not advertising friendly." Say to yourself and put your hand out, "I do not consent." Please, yeah. People's eyes get wide, stunned, like if you do the hand statement. Yeah. Well, I say it all the time inside my house. Um, I'll just say out loud, "You do not have my permission to record, videotape, surveil, eavesdrop, through the wall radar, remote neural monitor, pinhole cameras, me in the privacy of my home or my property. I do not consent." And every time they puncture a hole in my clothes, I'm going to rat out one more person. So, you know what? If you want to get even with me for some perceived slight, whatever, keep puncturing holes in my clothes. I'll rat out one more of you people by name. You left a link early on my latest post. Oh, okay. Um, well, if it was it a YouTube link? Because YouTube will hold the link for me to review it if it's not a YouTube link. Oh, okay. Well, I haven't checked yet. So I've been on this live now for 50 minutes and then making coffee before. So I have not checked any mail or anything, or I'll check it later after the live. So okay, so the next tool is coercive persuasion. This operates on a parallel path, employing manipulative techniques that undermine the individual's autonomy. Stephen Allen Hassan, a licensed counselor and former member of the Unification Church, who now leads the Freedom of Mind Center, dedicated for researching and aiding those in need of deprogramming from mind control cults, has elucidated the concept of destructive mind control. In an interview with author Liane, Liane, Leadum, MD, in 2007, Hassan expounded that destructive mind control seizes the locus of control, quote unquote, away from the individual, employing a systemic approach encapsulated by the acronym BITE, BITE, which encompasses behavior, information, thoughts, and emotions. You know what? Let me see if I can cut and paste this. I'm going to stick this in the chat. Copy. Here. Oh, I'm going to tell you about the thumbs up thing. I don't know if it was you or somebody else. Somebody emailed me a week ago that they saw live. They had hit the thumbs up on my channel on one of my videos, and they watched the number decrease, like while they were hitting the thumbs up. So there is something throwing off my thumbs up and my views and everything like that. I think it's the perpetrators. I think it's the criminals, because let me tell you, when I signed on my Chewy.com account, for Frey's Cat Rescue, I have all this stuff in my cart, and I knew that my cart was empty, so I go into the cart, and there's like $400 worth of stuff in there for dogs. All this dog stuff. It's like somebody hacked into my Chewy account and put all this stuff into my my cart. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. No, I just saw some of your messages pop up on my phone. So yeah, so they're definitely doing something with the algorithms. They're doing something with my thumbs up. They're doing something with the visibility of the videos. Like some of my videos, I know should be getting more thumbs up and should actually be recommended by YouTube, and they're not. It's just not happening. So, oh, and David A mentioned that, I'm not sure if I'm going to describe it properly. He said that he went into somebody's channel that was like a perp or whatever. Yeah. And this perp or gamer channel, like he was watching it. And then after he participated in it or something like that, he got 2,000 new subscribers, but they're all fake. He says they're not real subscribers. It's just something that they did. And yeah, he created a video about how he got these 2,500 subscribers that are not real subscribers. I mean, that's not happening to me. I mean, I could actually see who my subscribers are, although some people will keep their profiles private. Oh, you're using a cell, laptop, thumb. That's so interesting. So on your cell and the laptop, the thumbs up are different. Yeah, I don't know what to do about it. I just don't. Um, I don't know what to do about it. I know that I was having trouble with the chat a couple of weeks ago. I reported it to YouTube. I never received a response. Okay, so BITE, which encompasses behavior, information, thoughts, and emotions. Behavioral modification encompasses dictating how a person should dress, act, worship, appear, eat, sleep, engage in sexual activity, and more. The objective is to progressively control behavior, fostering a dependence on the controller or abuser, rendering autonomy obsolete. Information is meticulously controlled and selectively provided to the victim to manipulate the perceptions and alter their reality. Well, isn't that what's going on with the mainstream news? Like, mainstream news isn't even reporting the devastation of what's going on in North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee. I mean, it's nuts. The only information that we're seeing are for like citizen journalists. Thoughts and emotions are governed with a heavy hand, with victims denied the freedom to think independently, while any display of emotion is discouraged, if not outright punished. Fear, shame, and guilt play significant roles in molding or altering a person's mind, particularly the fear of physical harm or death. This is why torture can be a potent tool in extracting confessions, even for crimes they never committed. The removal of essentials like food, water, sleep, access to information, exposure to light, various other forms of physical deprivation, combined with psychological manipulation, can break even the most resolute individuals. When it comes to these brainwashing techniques, the process of dismantling a victim's will and identity is typically more gradual and systemic than outright torture or physical violence. Dr. Margaret Singer, a clinical psychologist who specializes in studying brainwashing, cults, and coercive persuasion used in mind control, described these coercive psychological systems in her article titled Coercive Mind Control Tactics. Oh, good. Oh, this is a clickable link. Let me see if I can get the URL here. Let me see. Copy link address. Okay, good. I was able to copy that for you guys. So I just posted an article, The Psychological Systems, Coercive Mind Control Tactics. She highlighted numerous tactics utilized to induce psychological changes, which are effective on both individual and social group societal levels. And this is her list. Number one, increasing suggestibility, employing audio, visual, and verbal stimuli to enhance suggestibility, including techniques like hypnosis, sleep deprivation, which we all get, and limiting access to water and food, which is what they did in North Carolina. 2, establishing control over social environment and support, using rewards and punishments such as social isolation, restricted contact with family and friends, and cultivating dependence on the controller, cult, or abuser. Guys, I don't know. Uh, do any of you guys and women want dependence on a controller, a cult, or an abuser? Anybody that wants to rely on a controller, cult, or abuser has to have something inherently wrong, right? It's not what people want. People want autonomy and freedom. They want the power to choose. And we were born with the ability to do that. Number three, prohibiting disconfirming information. Preventing exposure to any dissenting opinions or external information that contradicts the motives and agendas of the controller, cult, or abuser. I don't know. This sounds like most politicians, right? It sounds like our current administration. Number four, forcing reevaluation of a person's aspects of self experience, undermining the victim's conscious awareness of their individual reality, worldview, emotional control, and defense mechanisms, and replacing them with a new life history and reality. Why would anybody want to do that? I mean, this is just total sickness. Number five, creating powerlessness, subjecting victims to frequent and intense actions that erode their confidence and judgment. Six, inducing aversive emotional arousal, using non physical means of punishment to manipulate emotions and behavior, including shaming, guilting, and social isolation. That's sort of like the perps that perp that came onto the Ollie perp that just came onto the channel and said that the holes on my property are made by rodents or mice, and then called me paranoid. I mean, that's just so typical. That's like perp 101, perp script 101. Number seven, intimidation, employing group sanctioned threats to intimidate the victim into aligning with the controller's attitudes, beliefs, and other directives. That's like my neighbor Mary. I was last year or the year before. She drives by, and this woman is totally neurotic. She would drive back and forth, like worse than Scarlett, back and forth, like all day long. It's like totally obsessive. But one time she drove by, and she screams. She screams out the window. I'm gonna imitate her now, guys. Be ready. She says, "You belong in an insane asylum." That's exactly what my neighbor sounded like. Look at her. Like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, these people are frigging nuts. I mean, the one thing about being targeted in New Jersey, people did not act like that. I mean, the people around here are totally nuts. They're totally crazy nuts. So yes, that's what my neighbors sound like. You belong in an insane asylum. Let's see. Yeah, yes. Oh, retry the link. The link is not working. Let me see if I can grab that link again. Let me see. Well, okay, well, first of all, this is the entire article. Okay, so the link I'm posting now is the entire article that I'm reading. And then in that article, there are links. Oh, yeah, did you hear about that new iPhone? Yeah, they all act like spoiled brats. They do. They act like they act like they're like rotten teenagers. Yes, Rob Braxman. You have to listen to his video today. Was it today or yesterday? No, it was this morning about the new iPhone 16. Well, see, with, the neighbors yelling and crazy like that, you don't understand where I live. I live in a rural area. If I'm talking on my property or if I'm yelling at my chickens or whatever, like, I I I announce to my chickens that they're getting a treat. I call them, chickie poos. Um, it may or may not be heard by my neighbors, but highly unlikely because the properties are so far apart. But in New Jersey, you would never get away with that. Like if somebody drove by my house in New Jersey and started screaming like that, everyone on the block would have heard it. It would be very disturbing. Even to the people that are all complicit in everything, they would not get on with that stuff. Yeah, Rob Braxman is really good. But the one thing is he's been contacted by targeted people, and he has said flat out that he won't work with targeted people. Does he? He says that? I don't know. There was one video where he said that targeted people were contacting him about helping, and he said flat out that this is not about targeted people. So that he wasn't going to work with targeted people. So, but he's got really good information, and I do not want the iPhone 16. He described it as a walking, talking, hearing, a receiver, and a transmitter, and it's totally tracked by Apple and Google, and that it has a separate portion that it just eats up all of your memory. Oh, you told him you were a whistleblower? He seems like a nice guy. Um, he seems like a nice guy. He's very informative. He's got really good information. I mean, he like literally his channel gives it out freely, and I I haven't watched him a lot lately. I actually unsubscribed to him months ago after he said he wasn't going to help targeted people. So then it was this morning that I saw about his article, his YouTube about the Apple 16, and it caught my attention. So I watched it and I resubscribed to him. It was a few months ago. I don't know, maybe he was bombarded by targeted people at one time. Maybe it was upsetting to him. Maybe he didn't know what it was, or maybe he is targeted now, or maybe he realizes he is targeted now. I don't know. I don't know his situation. I haven't watched him enough. Um, but I don't want an Apple iPhone 16 for sure. Yeah, he's got a phone. Yes, yes. Yeah, he recommends not being on Google. Um, so yeah, he really he shares a lot of good information. Now that I'm resubscribed to him, I'll go back and listen to some of his other videos. But as soon as somebody and I have unsubscribed from many YouTube creators who call targeted people conspiracy theorists or whatever, or discredit us. There was one YouTube creator, he literally had under 500 subscribers when I first subbed to him. This is years ago. Now he's got, hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I don't get why. I don't think he's that good. But I unsubscribed to him when he started talking about the tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. He actually crafted a tinfoil hat and put it on his head. And I don't know, I might have written some comment like, you really need to be more open minded about certain things that you're not aware of. And I unsubbed to him. But there are other people that rave about him. But of course, those are the same people that are still clueless about what's really going on. So, guys, if you could hit the thumbs up. Like it says that there are 25 of you here. There are 25 people listening, and there are 13 thumbs up. Okay, so let's get on with. Okay. Evidently, the more severe and extreme these tactics are applied, the more control the victim relinquishes. Victims often endure a perpetual state of confusion and chaos, potentially developing post traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, even after escaping from the controllers and sources of abuse. The aftermath may manifest in severe depression, anxiety, panic attacks, insomnia, physical ailments, emotional distress, and inability to concentrate, and a myriad of other health issues. Even after breaking free from the grasp of a controlling individual or entity, the effects of control persist, driving individuals towards the precipice of suicide, insanity, or necessitating psychiatric care if they fail to secure appropriate help and support. That's why we spread the word here. That's why we have to educate people so that this does not happen to them, that they know that this is being done to them. Now it goes on to say, okay, now this is an advertisement. Let me scroll down. Oh, that's the end of the article. Oh, wait. Let me see. Let me see. I think that's the end of the article, but maybe there's another one. Okay, well, the next article that she wrote here, he or she, is the ominous march towards a surveillance-dominated future. This is an update on digital IDs, surveilled finance, and the arrival of carbon passports. I can't stand having to carry my phone around with me all the time. And in fact, when I lost all that memory on my phone, I just deleted so many apps. At first, I hid them, and then I just ended up deleting them. I don't use them. I don't need all these things on my phone. But then I actually called for anybody that wants to clear the space on their iPhone. If you've got an iPhone, the two largest apps are YouTube and TikTok. Evidently, because I was using them both every day, it stores sort of like a cache on your phone, but you don't see it. You can't see it. It's not something you can delete, like by clicking on a picture and just deleting the picture. So I called iPhone, told them what was going on. And he actually zooms into my phone. I give him permission. He goes into my phone. He sees what's going on. And he says, well, what you're going to have to do, he actually adjusted some things on the phone. I don't remember exactly what they were, but he went in there, started doing some things. And then he said, what you need to do is first delete TikTok, restart your phone, and then add it back. And then delete YouTube, turn off your phone, turn it back on again, re-add YouTube. And after I did that, oh my goodness, I went from having like zero space to having 3/4 of my phone empty. It was absolutely amazing. So it made a huge difference. So now that I know that, probably I should probably do it like once a year. Just delete the apps and add them back again. The only thing is, everything else remains, like all of my regular stuff and my um, what do you call it? The only thing that I had to add back was I had to sign in again. And after I signed in, everything was as usual. But there were a couple of things like my uploading traits that I had already pre-programmed; those disappeared. So I had to, reinstall those. But told to continue channels. So well, that's a really interesting comment, Lisa. I think there's a lot to be said for what you just said. That it seems that many sell out, then flip, but they're told to continue their channels so as to keep dissidents on a list and surveilled. That's really interesting because obviously, as targeted people, we gravitate to other targeted channels. We want to watch them. We want to learn from them. We might hit the thumbs up. We might hit the thumbs down. We might add a comment, and those comments are there. And I mean, you and I both know. I mean, if we comment on, let's say 5 or 10 channels a day, we don't always remember to go back and maybe delete them, delete our comments. So our comments are there indefinitely. So yeah, that's I know that I'm being stalked on other people's channels. I'll go to a non-targeted person's channel. I subscribe to a lot of farming and homesteading channels and stuff like that. Not that they're not targeted. They just don't know that they are. Um and I'll leave comments and stuff, and then I get these stalkers coming and writing like really derogatory comments. And you can always tell that they set people up to just follow the targeted person. So I'm just reading what you guys are writing here. Yeah, I would like to know what that app is. A dial-up purchase. We've been told that they have an app, and there was let me just go onto my channel here. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm just seeing this. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I go onto YouTube, right? The main screen. And the first thing I see here is homeless man risks his life. He saves several dogs trapped in a fire. And you see the guy, oh my goodness gracious. He's at the top of a burning building. There are people down below, and he's throwing all these dogs off. Oh my goodness, he's throwing all the dogs off the building. Oh my goodness gracious. I can't watch. I just can't watch this. All right, but anyway, let me go into my channel, and I forget the name of the app that it could possibly be. Let me see here. One second. I think it was something like ANSI. I'm going to have to go into. No, it wasn't this far back. It wasn't this far back. One second. I think it was just last week. It was an app that a couple of people mentioned, and I did a video on it. Now I'm not finding it here. One second. No, it's not this far back. Let me go into my studio. One second, because I can't read it from here. And the person that sent it said that they try to subscribe to this app, and they already know who the targeted people are. So if you try to get into this app, you won't be. You'll just automatically not be accepted. Let me see if I can find it here. And like as I'm scrolling down here, I see like the perps are really like on my videos. Like they're downvoting all my evidence videos. They're downvoting to like 77%. or whatever. Um, no, it wasn't this far back. Let me see. I think this was. I think this is it. Let me see. No, it wasn't this one. Um, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look for it. It was a website. Let's see. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look for it, guys. I'm not finding it. Let me see here. Sorry for the. I don't know. I'm not finding it. I know I had it in even in the hashtag so that I would remember it. I'm not finding it. It might have even been last week. But anyway, all right, let me just check what you guys are saying here. Yeah, they upload the TI's dossier. Oh, okay. You know what? I can't hear that. Eden's Living, that's happened before. You hear it too? Now, I heard it. I can't hear it at all now. But usually after I end the live stream and it's uploaded, then I could hear some kind of like a deep, like mumbling in the background. It almost sounds like a devil. It's like it's a perp. Maybe it sounds like a V2K or whatever. Putting that underneath, I think it's disgusting that they do this to people. I wonder if they do it to other channels. Have you heard it on other channels? I don't hear it. But I do hear it after the chat ends and then it gets uploaded and then I go to play it back. I'll sometimes hear it, but I only hear it on the live stream. It's not on any of my other videos. Yeah, isn't that terrible? I can't, the way they hack us, it's unbelievable. So somebody has hacked the live stream. I wonder if I reported it to YouTube, if they would be able to, figure what that is. And HM, you said it's called ATIX app. Let me see if that is what I wrote on my channel. Let's see, ATIX. No, there was some. It was some. Oh, it was RISS. It was this video. RISS. Oh yeah, RISSATIX. Okay, here it is. Here, let me just. I'll put this in the chat. One second. Ella, she's not around anymore, and she deleted not only her channel, she deleted her website and the The domain name is for sale. So this is the video that I talked um, about that app. It was Dr. Eric Karlstrom, and what it was how gang stalking is administered, how to end gang stalking video, and webmasters additional information. It was according to Dr. Karlstrom, who's really behind gang stalking. And he says, I know there are a lot of theories about it. The government loves that. They love confusion. There's nothing magical or mystical about it. It's run by the federal government. I just thought I'd alert you as to how they're actually doing it. If you're a targeted individual, you know that when you use your credit card or debit card, that flags everyone with the app within a certain vicinity. And the RISS stands for Regional Information Sharing Systems. It says it's a proven resource for law enforcement. Of course, the private sector can join in on this too. RISS. It's conducted in every state, and there are different centers. And the app has your photo and derogatory lies and defamation about you. Here, I'll stick this in the chat. 1 second. Oh, I've got too many words. Let's see. Okay, obviously I've got too many words here. I can only, let's see, 1 second. It's called the chat only accepts a certain number of words at a time. Yeah, it's sort of, yes, it's sort of like that, but it's an app that your local neighbors sign into. It says the app has our photo and derogatory lies about us. Could you imagine if we targeted people? What if we created our own app? We should create our own app and post photos of all of our perps' cars and their license plates and all the stupid things they say and their street theater and stuff. I'm surprised has anyone found I don't have an Android, so I don't know. The one thing is that the Droid has apps that are really good. One is called oh my goodness. There's this woman in Canada who finds a lot of information by downloading these apps and who's, in her network and everything. But there's not an equivalent for the iPhone. No, I don't know. Yeah, regional information, RISS. Well, they don't like when you use cash because it's not trackable. Yeah, the apps that they use would not be on the App Store. It would be something that they would probably likely download from a subscription or a website that allows them access to it. Sort of like if you're a doctor or a lawyer and you subscribe to, a doctor or lawyer's website, you'd be paying for it and they would give you like a code to have access to it. Hey guys, please hit the thumbs up. Let's see what other articles we can read here. Or how about I was reading The Forbidden Tech, and let me see where I left off here. 1 second. We'll open up here. Okay, so here, where I left off was at the chapter where the V2K patents are. Reading testimonies like this makes it very real. When you find patents to these devices, you'll see a lot of block diagrams and just a general basic schematic, because that idea would be implemented in all kinds of platforms. So, I mean, in the book, it's got all of these really, this is a really nice diagram, but this patent, get this, U.S. patent. I'm going to write it in the chat here. 1 second. Patent 4877027, October 31, 1989. Okay, now this is kind of ridiculous. This patent for V2K is October 31, 1989. That is Halloween. That's Halloween. This is for microwave audio broadcast. Oops. And then it says it's silent sound subliminal mind control. There's a steady tone near the high end of the hearing range, say 15,000 hertz. Then they have the hypnotist voice varying from 300 hertz to 4,000 hertz. Then they have a frequency modulator and a voice control frequency. Then the output is more or less a steady tone sounding like tinnitus, but with hypnosis embedded. The brain can hear voice and understands, and the ear only hears a tone or buzzing or ringing. And then the second patent here, I don't know if they'd allow us to do that, but we should have our own app. All targeted people should have an app. I don't know, one of you younger tech savvy targeted people should create an app only for targeted people, so that we can input the license plates and the perp information to warn people when they're coming to our state, or in case these perps travel to other states. Yeah, I know none of the apps are safe, but what are you going to do? We don't have all this information in phone books to share anymore. So then there's another patent here. I'll just type it in here. patent 5159703 is so now that patent shows two different microwave frequencies to get sound and voice. And the effects are that you can get hearing or you get a ringing or a buzzing in your actual physical ear, even though the noise that's taking place, the perceived noise, is inside your brain. Tom Bearden is a retired Army lieutenant colonel and has managed a website. The website is, I'll, I'll, I'll type it. Let's see here. CHENI.org. Something like that site where people post about bad dates. Not sure the name, but still legal. Yeah, we should have something like that. I mean, I know that a lot of targeted people who post, evidence will sometimes post photos of their perpetrators' cars, their license plates, and stuff like that. But some of these people actually do travel across states. So I mean, obviously, I can't show you this diagram in the book, and what I'm reading from is the book Forbidden Tech by Naima Morris and Rivers. Um, the website that I just posted there, Lieutenant Colonel Tom Bearden. This website has been active since the early internet. He was one of the first people to talk about this technology and its effects on free energy. And then they go on to say, what you're looking at in the diagram below, which of course you guys can't see, is how you can mix electromagnetic fields to create effects that are like sound waves or create things like changes in temperature and pressure in the volume of space where they intersect. Very interesting indeed. In this diagram, you have the shaded region where the beams intersect. This is a space that it's affected. So within the space, you can have special electromagnetic phenomenon occur, such as sound, changes in electrical pressure or temperature. You can have all kinds of effects depending on what power and pairs of frequencies you apply. Now imagine that the transmitters 1 and 2 in this diagram are two different cell towers. If you had the means of controlling a signal from two or more such microwave sources, imagine what you can do with the technology. This is basically outlining the general idea behind that. So the book goes into like a lot of technical things, like a lot of really good diagrams. And then it goes into, let's see, this is a short section. I'll read this and then I'll probably, that's it. You have pics, videos, plate numbers. Well, one thing I realized what they do with the perps is once you get their license plate, they switch license plates a lot. They switch vehicles. It seems like, they just keep trading in their vehicles for another new one. So now in this chapter here, page 237, transhumanism, the ascent of a new man. I'll just read a little bit of this. It's only like a couple of paragraphs. According to Wikipedia, transhumanism is an international and intellectual movement that aims to transform the human condition by developing and making widely available sophisticated technologies to greatly enhance human intellectual, physical, and psychological capabilities. You may or may not have heard the term transhumanism in the media lately. It has only surfaced in the last few years as the newest thing to get everyone's attention. Transhumanism is the attempt to merge mankind with machine. The thought that somehow technology merged with our biological bodies can help us improve and overcome limitations of our biology. It's understandable that there are many who are opposed to this strange movement. After all, it brings to mind scenes from Hollywood movies where artificial intelligence seeks to destroy humans. In the next section, we will be exploring just a couple of the more subtle phenomenon that has been uncovered in recent years, involving circumstances where technology and biology should not be mixed. So then they go on to talk about Morgellons disease. We round off the end of this section by showing evidence of a weaponized fungal infection that is appearing globally as an indirect effect of aerosol spraying and the underlying trackable biofilm that is its cause. As mentioned previously, for the past 20 years, many people have linked their illnesses directly with environmental factors, namely from aerosol spraying. It's interesting to note that the beginning of the modern aerosol campaign testing to save off global warming started about the same time that the internet was in its infancy. This would explain why complaints of some of these illnesses seem to be as old as the internet itself. The sickness we will focus on in particular is infamously known as Morgellons disease. In professional circles, it's considered taboo for practicing doctors to even take the illness seriously, regardless of the endless images of infection uploaded to the internet daily. In fact, if you were to check yourself into a hospital and say you had Morgellons, you would probably either to be told to leave or be given a placebo because the doctor had dismissed you as crazy. Nonetheless, due to the rising cases of this life-changing illness, a market has appeared in the online community, and there are independent certified health practitioners, doctors, and scientists who run analyses on these samples and publish studies. Interestingly, some of the symptoms of the disease also parallel, to a much lesser extent, those who claim to be electronically targeted with regards to physical changes on the skin and joint and muscle pain. Likewise, the self prescribed treatments of some who claim near complete recovery of this disease seem to also offer a new solution to those who are TIs. I'm just going to read some of your comments here. Your comments at the bottom of Lorraine's videos frequently get deleted. My comments get deleted. I respond to some people. I respond to subscribers, and my responses disappear. It's crazy. They track bodies unique. Yes, they can. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, your comments are not going through. Well, I got it here too. I guess it was. I don't remember if it's the first or second year that I was here. Oh, it's disgusting. It was really bad. I actually soaked myself in Clorox bleach. That was not. I do not recommend you're doing that. I don't recommend you're doing that. But I had to be really proactive with it, and, I was taking Epsom salt baths with baking soda, scrubbing my legs, cleaning them, changing my clothes. Yeah, exactly. Someone explained the whole thing to Trumpy. Oh, oh goodness, yeah. So now let's see. Wait, wait, wait. Before we proceed with the subject, however, it's important that you realize that we are not registered doctors, nor do we claim to cure any cause, condition, or disease, and this is for educational purposes only. We do not provide medical aid or nutrition for the purpose of health or disease, and we do not claim to be any medical expert. Please always seek medical advice from a professional. We're only sharing information from testimonials and people who describe their experience and how they were able to rid their body of this infection. Morgellons disease is a dermopathy characterized by multicolored filaments that lie under or embedded in or project from the skin. The illness is usually in that it contains infectious traits from seemingly different sources. There are now independent studies of the different aspects of the infection. One study of the skin concluded something that is associated with a tick borne infection. The multicolored filaments, however, are composed of keratin and collagen that result from the production of collagen and keratin making cells found in the skin. Spirochetes also have been genetically identified as an infective agent in most of the Morgellons skin specimens. And the one thing about those disgusting little spirochetes is you can get an antibiotic, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, a couple of months. And those spirochetes, a lot of them will be killed off, but they're really smart. And when they get bombarded with the antibiotic, some of them that aren't killed will go hide. They'll just go hide until the coast is clear. And then after the antibiotic is completely removed from your system, and then as soon as your body goes into stress, those little creatures rear their little ugly heads again. Yes, it's in the clothes. Are you, wait, wait. Lorraine, I have two questions. Are you going to let Kat's email affect what you say? No. Oh no. What are you kidding? No, no. I don't. I'm not going to affect what I say. Um, and there was another person that actually rewatched the video, which was actually the beginning of the video, the interview with Richard, and that is not what was said. Okay, so your second question is, does it really matter if you're made in no, it doesn't. I mean, first of all, let me just say, I would never make a joke about somebody's weight. That it's so wrong. I mean that it just affects them on every level. So it's just not me. I don't poke fun at people, you know? I mean, it's one thing I would never do it in a public forum, right? Unless it's my perpetrators, I'm exposing them. But that's not me. Like I don't make fun of people. Like I didn't grow up with parents that even well would even remotely allow me to do something like that. So no, that's not inherent in my personality. But it's not something I would joke about unless it's one of my criminal neighbors, which deserve everything that they get. So I've never heard of that root. Battle lomadium root. Low. I just purchased the ashwagandha on TikTok. Yeah, so I've got ashwagandha gummies that are very, like a little too sweet, but they're good. I'm taking them. The dandelion, I loved the dandelion root. Love that stuff, that shallite. That is the most disgusting tasting thing. It tastes like you're eating. How do I describe it? It tastes like gooey tree bark. That's what it tastes like. Gooey tree bark. Well, exactly. I mean, how are you supposed to react when you're being tormented, right? And that's what they want too. They want a reaction because these are psychopaths. They're sick people, and they do disgusting things. Like they run in and out of my house. Like people, I've had people email me and say, "Well, have you tried this and have you tried that?" You don't understand that there is actually right now, as we speak, somebody is on my property right now. There is somebody here 24/7, and the shit that they do here is totally unbelievable. I can go into my nonprofit building, and let's say I'm in there 20 minutes. Yeah, they're creepers. Exactly. And they get off on it. These people just totally get off on running in and out of my house, knocking things down. I do. I have cameras. And then I've had people tell me, buy these motion center sensors because then you'll know when you're in your outer field when the motion sensor goes off that somebody's on your property. No. Do you have any idea that my cameras catch possums? Like right now, my cameras are catching possums, raccoons, the couple of cats that are still outside, a fox that runs around at night. That triggers all my cameras, right? So it triggers all the sensors. So it's very difficult for me to detect when it's a person and when it's an animal. They just go off various times of the day. And then I've got guineas like during the day, like they're running around all over the place, and they my cameras catch all this motion. What do I think the A stands for? I think it's anarchy. I think it's anarchy. That's what I think. It's like chaos. They're addicted to chaos. That's what I think. Yeah, they are creepers. And yes, I have cameras. But anything that's Wi-Fi, they interfere with it. Um, I'll lose like footage of camera footage at the exact time when I know that they're around. Sometimes when I'm doing a video outside, even you guys will mention it. Like if I try to focus in on certain parts of my property, they will deliberately blur the image because they don't want you to see what's in the background because you might find something that I don't see. So what it's saying here is historically it's been established that the Morgellons fibers and other phenomenon contain structures that attach to the root sheath of hair follicles. The composition of the fibers or filaments, however, are not hair, but rather biofilaments composed of human cells, some assembling barbs that penetrate from the deeper layers of the skin. Some of these filaments grow inward from the epidermis, creating structures and spreading infection. Visible signs of skin infection include frosting of the hair follicles, open lesions with fibers and other objects of unknown origin coming out of them, and opportunistic fungal infections like candida that seem to reappear in the long term after the initial treatment. In other words, Morgellons is known to mask as other fungal and bacterial infections. And then there are just a lot of photos here. I mean, this is a really good book. They did a good job on this book because they have close up photos of this and they're in color. The severity of visible damages varies from person to person, and it's partly attributed to the strength of one's immune system. Individuals afflicted with Morgellons have self examined the affected tissues under a microscope and shared the images in online forums and websites. The results is a searchable database of visual evidence that this is a mysterious infection. And it's saying what is disturbing about these images is the appearance of a manufactured like foreign object coming from within the human body. Are these crystalline objects smart dust or other technology? Clearly, there exists a multifaceted agenda behind scattering these structures throughout the ecosphere. This scale is only a few micrometers across. These pictures are really good. But then it goes on to talk about things that I probably should not be able to speak about on BayTube. So I'm gonna end here. This was from the book Forbidden Tech: The Complete Guide to Energy, Social, and Biological Technologies That They Did Not Want You to Know About by Naima Morris and Tavon Rivers. So everybody, it's just a little bit after midnight. Let me just read what you're saying here. Exactly. I just want to live my life. I was like a really private person before all of this. You know, I had my friends, I had my businesses, the house, the cats, and everything. I kept to myself. I didn't share my personal information with anybody. And now it's like, you know, if you don't, you're not. The only way to save your life as a targeted person is by being visible. They're hitting you with ads. Oh, what? The ads usually come halfway through, like after an hour. Um, the first hour there are usually no ads, but now like we're going on 2 hours. They usually start sticking some ads in there. Your buddy showed you synthetic splinter he pulled out of his thumb this morning. Wow. I mean, they don't want people to be happy. I mean, look at the way this country's run. Look at what has happened in the last 4 years here, targeted or not. I mean, the last 4 years in this country has been a nightmare. I mean, it's just a nightmare. It's not even being targeted. The food supply is a mess. They're targeting farmers now, homesteaders. Um, there's a homesteader that I watched, the Riverside Homestead, and he speaks mostly about what's going on in the world, a lot of news and stuff. And he said that there are some organic companies now that are selling out to like Coca-Cola and Procter and Gamble, and so um, a lot of those organic foods now are going to change. They're not going to be organic anymore. Yeah, well, yeah, you would think that our happiness was a national security threat. Well, I think the national security threat is that we're not sheeple, that we can think for ourselves. I mean, think about this for a minute, okay? We're targeted for this trauma-based mind control, satanic ritual abuse, and stuff because they're studying us, right? They're studying us to program uh, AI, and for all kinds of other reasons. maybe cloning. It's certainly trafficking, right? They're making a lot of money off of us. But um, do you think that they're studying the perps as hard as they're studying us? I don't know. I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me. I mean, Brian Coffrin, that security firm whistleblower, he basically said that the people that they target, that he noticed, are highly intelligent, independent, creative. They think outside of the box, can't be controlled and stuff. So how do they make that determination if they're following you from birth? Like some people say, oh, we're targeted from birth. No, I don't think that we're targeted from birth. I think that we're followed. I think that they know us from birth, but then they interfere or intercept our lives at certain points. Yeah, they don't like the joy, they don't like the light. I mean, remember, these are energy vampires, you know? When you shine the light in them, they wither away. That's why you don't see them during the day. You know, they only come out at night. They are creepers. And around here, they're the Three Mason Loser Club. That's what I call them, the Three Mason Loser Club. I mean, anybody that is still going on medieval rituals is like they need to be banished from the planet, in my opinion. I think we're all targeted by at least one of them. I mean, they're everywhere. They're like cockroaches. Oh, well, that's too bad. That's really that's sad. And the thing is, like, you know, in the past, I would say, like, why don't women just leave? You know, just leave. But um, a lot of women in those relationships are so traumatized and so fearful and so controlled. Like a lot of times, they have no control over their money. Um, a lot of spouses isolate their other spouse from the family. Yeah, exactly. And that he's a narcissist. That's what narcissists do. They want to isolate the victim. And let me tell you, if you want to really understand narcissism and psychopathy, sure, there are a lot of channels out there, but it takes one to know one. And I'll write his name in the chat here. Let me tell you, listening to this guy is totally spooky. Um, but you have to hear him talk about. He is a diagnosed exactly, absolutely. Um, if you go to this guy's YouTube channel, you can really understand how the people that target us think and how controlling they are, how malignant, and really, it's quite disturbing. I can't listen to too much of it. It's so disturbing. But yeah, so HD Tutor, he does a lot of analysis of public figures, but he also talks about the psychopathy. Yeah, but yes, exactly, exactly, exactly. But anyway, please remember to hit the thumbs up and stuff. I'm going to sign off for now because it's a little after midnight here on the East Coast. But I want to thank everybody for joining in. If you have any questions and comments, you can always email me at alternativehomesteading@gmail.com. If you've got any videos you want to share, if you've got testimony that you want to share, if you're willing to type it out, I'll be happy to read it on my channel. I mean, I'm not set up to do the video right now. Oh, you're in London. Okay. Oh, wow. It's really early there. You're up at 4:20 a.m. Oh my goodness. You can't sleep. You've got to be a targeted person. So, yeah, right here it's midnight. Oh, you're welcome. You're so welcome. Oh, you live with a suitcase. Yeah, I look forward to the chats for interacting with you because it's so difficult, like in the comments section, and so many people's comments just disappear. And I respond to comments, and my responses disappear. So at least here, I don't see comments disappearing so much unless you're deleting them yourself. Oh, what's Switzerland like? Oh, it must be beautiful. Yeah, it wasn't always like this on YouTube. Um, I think Facebook is worse. I don't get on there very often. Maybe once a week. Stalking and harassment is worldwide. There are some countries, cities, states, or whatever that are better or worse than others. That's it. Oh, hi, Clint. How you doing? Hi there. Thank you for all the information you're sharing with me. Some of it is just it's overwhelming. Like I start reading it and watching the videos, and it's like I get so angry. Well, I'm doing okay. I'm tired. This time of the year, so there's a lot of work here with leaves and very annoying stuff. At first, I thought I said something that was annoying. Then, oh, well, can you still hear that weird voice in the background? I don't know how they're doing it. See, I would like to know if the comments are being removed from the perpetrators on my end, or if comments are being removed because you're a targeted person too, and they're removing it from your end. Because not everybody's comments disappear. There's certain people that post whose comments disappear more than others. Well, that's an interesting question. I'm going to read your question, Clint. Does anyone else think that this can only be a simulation and the reason we're targeted is because the program has always been about us? The entire world's a stage. I've never thought of that. I I don't know. I don't know what to say. um, I mean, obviously, these people in a position of control, these I call them deletes, the one with all the money and stuff, they get bored. So they get so bored and they're so psychotic and so inbred that they have to play games. And who do they play games with? They play games with people. So there are a lot of coincidences, and it doesn't make sense. Um, I don't know. You know what? I didn't give it a lot of thought until I became targeted. I didn't think much about any of these things. I was like on a spiritual path, and I was busy all the time, and going to school and raising my daughter and taking care of cats. Living my life like a lot of people. So I never really thought about it. And I didn't watch television. I didn't go to the movies. So like, a lot of other channels, targeting channels refer to film, and The Simpsons and all of these predictive programming things. I never watched them. Yeah, the voice in the background is faint. Yeah, I'll probably hear it after. Okay. Oh, yes, I did see that law that changed where the military is able to target US citizens. Yes. Yes. Well, I think the reason that they enacted that is because they know that a civil war is coming, and the civil war has been provoked, instigated, deliberately agenda by allowing, and we're not allowed to talk about it on BayTube, so I'm not going to call them what they are, but I'm just going to call them the invaders, okay? The invaders, like the invaders from the Lost Ark, the invaders that are taking over cities and states and stuff. um, it's causing a problem in a lot of cities and a lot of states, and the citizens who live there are not going to tolerate it. So I think that there's going to be a lot of civil unrest, especially around the election. It doesn't matter who wins, it doesn't really matter. Um, that law, let me see, I've got it in my email. One second. I might have saved it. Let me see. Oh, here it is. I'll read it to you guys, okay? It's a federal directive issued, and I'll put it in the chat. It's a federal directive issued that allows the military to use lethal force against Americans. And the one thing about the military is that they there it is. That's it. They follow orders. It doesn't matter what the orders are. It allows the military to use lethal force against Americans. Okay, now, Americans. Do you hear that? Now, the new people that are coming in, they're not Americans, right? I mean, am I reading that correctly? It's like they're totally targeting only the people that live here. Yes, yes, they're targeting. I apologize for the people that don't live here in the United States. Some of you live in other countries, but this is a directive here in the United States where the they issue that allows the military to use lethal force against Americans. And let me tell you, there are a lot of people on YouTube that are talking about this. And Clint says here that I think that I'm on a domestic extremist watch list. You know what? I'm on a list. In New Jersey, they called me a terror threat for walking on my driveway. I was 60 years old at the time. I lived there for almost 30 years. This is what they're doing in this country. They're just like making stuff up. And they're just allowing people to get away with this stuff. Just allowing this. Invaders, yeah, massive new cars, ones with mold, modern paint, massive bulldozing buildings. They build up apartments. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy. It seems like they do what you're saying, Clint, is they do that a lot with the men. They target women a little differently than they target men, unless you're a female. What? Let me see. American Horror Story season 7. It's about gang stalking. American Horror Story season 7. Would that be on YouTube? I don't have a TV, so I can only watch what's on YouTube or Rumble. Do you have a link? Ace of Cups, do you have a link for that? If you have a link, you could send it to my email. It's not on YouTube. I don't have TV. I don't have like Netflix or any of that. The only thing I watch is like TikTok and YouTube. That's it. Hulu. Um, I might be able to, sometimes I can find like a partial episode on YouTube or Rumble because people will copy it. Let me just see. American Horror. Let me just type it in here. Let me see. 1 second. 1 second. Uh, Let me see if I can find something. There might even be a trailer or something. Oh, it's here. Let's see. It's here on YouTube. Wait 1 second. Let me see here. It's here. It's from 7 years ago. So there's a trailer here. I'll show you the link here. Oh, this is just a scene, like a little tiny scene. All right, let me see. I need the whole thing. Season 7. Well, I'll have to go through here. It's American Horror Story, season 7, episode 1. Oh, here's the full story here. 1 second. Oh no, here it says it's coming soon, so this is only a minute long. I don't know. I'll have to go through here. I'll find it somewhere. I'll find it. The season is entitled Cult. Okay. Exactly. Gang stalkers are like a cult. They are a cult. They are a cult. And I watched a video, I guess about a month ago, and the subject heading was, "Is the military a cult?" Not not CCULT, a cult. And there was a former military guy there and a woman who was in the military, and they were having this conversation about what the criteria is for a cult. And they determined that the military is a cult. They're order followers. And whatever the orders are, it doesn't matter if the orders are to harm somebody that's innocent, whatever it is that they are told to do, that's what they do. So they're not literally thinking for themselves. There's no morality, there's no ethics, they're just order followers. So that is symbolic of being in a cult. If you're only taking orders, following orders, you are part of a cult. So Clint says you were in the military and I wasn't in a cult. Were you or did you follow orders when you were in the military? Like would you have, of course you follow orders, but would you have followed an order that was against what you felt was ethical or moral? I mean, I guess that's what the question really is. But not to harm our people. Exactly. Exactly. That's the point. Now, I've always been of the misguided belief that the military was here to serve and protect Americans against foreign enemies. That's what I was always under the impression of. I was under the impression that they were to protect everybody in the country against assaults on our country. I was wrong. I was obviously wrong because here we have um, the highest levels of the intelligence agencies harming its own citizens. So, oh yeah, I mean it's interesting, but this particular uh, YouTube creator was interviewing these two people, and the question was, "Is the military a cult?" And based upon I don't know their hour and a half, 2 hour long conversation, it was determined that they are, at least here in the United States. The ones that do immoral actions, unquestionably, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's just so unfortunate. It just baffles the mind how bad it is. And here we are pointing fingers at other countries when we're just worse. We're like way worse. Look at what happened to Julian Assange. I mean, it just when he was interviewed a couple of weeks ago in a press conference, he said that he had to plead to committing the crime of journalism. Since when is journalism a crime? I don't know. It baffles the mind. It's very possible that they determine people with certain characteristics and put them into certain units. That's probably so. Oh, you took. Oh, did you really? You took psychological tests? I mean, that makes sense to me. I think that anybody in the military should undergo a psychological evaluation and personality tests. Absolutely. They want to see how you are under stress, who's a leader, who's a follower, if you've got mathematical skills, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it would make sense that you'd be tested through the kazoo. Yeah, I do like to plant a garden, but they target my garden. So this year, that's one of your questions. Oh, that's so funny. Do you like to plant a garden? Yeah, well, that's an interesting question. So think about this for a minute. So if the person answers yes to yes, I like to plant a garden. So what are the characteristics of somebody that would like to plant a garden? Okay, so there is the wanting to create life, right? Watching something grow. So that would bestow a certain level of patience and tolerance to the person wanting to plant a garden because a garden just doesn't automatically grow. Yeah, yeah. Julian Assange. He had to. He had to. Yes, he had to agree to the crime of journalism. That makes it bad for all journalists, doesn't it? Yes, the empathetic, the caring, the loving, and I did a couple of videos on my channel about personality types, and there are certain personality types that are rarer than others, than the general population. And after posting those videos, a lot of people in this community, privately or publicly, came forward and said that they're of those personality types. And I remember, like years ago, I joined an empath group. Yep, yep. I joined an empath group years ago. The owner of the group has passed away. I think he was a targeted person. Um, but we all took like the personality test, and almost all of us were the same personality type. And the same goes for professional astrologers. A lot of professional astrologers fall into the same personality type, like one of like three types. Yes, yes. We're the feelers, the empaths, the feelers. We cry. We, feel the pain of others. We like animals, we take care of animals and pets, and we like people. We're joyful. And these criminals hate that. It turns them off. They think it's a weakness to be exploited. And if you listen to that narcissist, self proclaimed narcissist psychopath, he says that they just use us, that they look at our empathy and whatever as useless. It's just useless. Let me see. Well, yeah, the environment. I mean, since I realized that I'm a targeted person, yeah, just everything is manipulated. The whole neighborhood is manipulated. This is like I feel like I've been placed in the middle of a chess set. you know? Well, I think now the entire environment is being manipulated through the trails in the sky. I think that's a huge part of it. All those particles and the EMFs. I mean, like I said, like when I was growing up, we did not have Wi-Fi. I did not have a computer. I had a typewriter. I had to type all of my papers with a typewriter with correcto type. Do you have any idea how long it took to write a paper, type a paper? And now it's so different. Like so everything is technology. And I wonder like if it was better then. I don't know. Was it better then? Yeah. The sentient world. You know who says that a lot? There's a targeted person on a mailing list. She says it a lot. I think it was Dr. Robert Duncan. I think Dr. Robert Duncan mentioned that a lot. Yeah. Yes, if they hate laughter, laugh your asses off. Oh, yeah, I make jokes about them. I laugh. I play with my cats. I call my guinea gang stalkers. Gonna get them. Yeah. Can I read the definitions of what hyper game theory characteristics? So let me just pull it up. And I just want to say for the record, the creator of the hyper game theory, Dr. John Nash, he was a targeted person. Everybody thinks he was schizophrenic. The Beautiful Mind book and his family is a beautiful mind. If you go and read what they did to that man, he was so brilliant. He had like a doctorate like in his early 20s, and he devised that hyper game theory, and after that they started V2K'ing the hell out of him. They stuck him in a mental ward, a mental institution. They were giving him ECT. There was nothing wrong with him. They did not want him talking about his hyper game theory and how it was targeting ships across the universe. They didn't want him talking about that anymore. So they wanted to make him look crazy. They wanted to make him look schizophrenic. And they tortured that man. I don't care what anybody says. John Nash was a targeted person. He was not schizophrenic. But I am so glad that they've got a book that his family was able to profit off of called A Beautiful Mind, because they deserve every penny that they get off that book. But He was not schizophrenic, I'm sorry. If you go and read the history and you go look at the dates that all of this happened after he created that hyper game theory, you will see that they wanted to silence his ass. And that's essentially what they did. For like 3 years, they stuck that guy under ECT, studying his brain, torturing him. Yes, exactly. Throw off the vibrations. Yes. All right, let me just pull it up. 1 second. Let me just do a quick search here. 1 second. 1 second. Okay, 1 second. Okay, 1 second. Here it is. Explaining a cornerstone of game theory. John Nash's equilibrium. Let me just pull it. Explaining. Here it is. Oh, this is in the New York Times, by the way. You can tell just looking at this guy that he was tortured. This guy, John F. Nash Jr. was best known for advances in game theory, which is just essentially the study of how to come up with a winning strategy in the game of life. Like I never realized that life was a game. Okay, especially when you do not know what your competitors are doing and the choices do not always look promising. Dr. Nash did not invent game theory. The mathematician John von Neumann did the pioneering work to establish the field in the first half of the 20th century, but Dr. Nash extended the analysis beyond zero sum, I win, you lose types of games, to more complex situations in which all of the players could gain or all could lose. The central concept is the Nash equilibrium, roughly defined as a stable state in which no player can gain advantage through a unilateral change of strategy, assuming the others do not change what they're doing. In the film A Beautiful Mind, based upon John Nash's life, tries to explain game theory in a scene in which Russell Crowe, playing Dr. Nash, is at a bar with three friends. And they're all entrapped by a beautiful blonde woman who walks in with four brunette friends. While his friends banter about which one of them would successfully woo the blonde, Dr. Nash concludes they should do the opposite, ignore her. If we all go for the blondes, he says, we block each other, and not a single one of us is going to get her. So then we go for her friends, but they will all give us the cold shoulder because nobody likes to be second choice. But what if no one goes to the blondes? We don't get in each other's way, and we don't insult the other girls. That's the only way we win. Well, this never happened in real life episode illustrates some of the machinations that game theorists consider. It's not an example of a Nash equilibrium. A simpler example is what is known as the prisoner's dilemma. Two conspirators in a crime are arrested and offered a deal. If you confess and testify against your accomplice, we'll let you off and throw you off the book at the other guy. 10 years in prison. If both stay quiet, the prosecutors cannot prove the more serious charges, and both would spend just a year behind bars for lesser crimes. But if both confess, the prosecutors would not need their testimony, and both would get an 8-year prison sentence. At first glance, keeping quiet might seem like the best strategy. If both did so, both would get off fairly lightly. But the calculation of the Nash equilibrium shows they would likely both confess. This type of problem is called a non cooperative game, which means that the two prisoners cannot convey intentions to each other. Without knowing what the other prisoner is doing, each is faced with this choice. If he confesses, he could end up with freedom or 8 years in prison. If he stays quiet, he goes to prison for 1 year or 10 years. That's the end of that article, by the way. And that article was, let's see, the New York Times. I'll post the link since I can post the link here. This is the link to the article that I just read. Yes, game theory is a watered down. Exactly. That's exactly right. It's a game. They think it's a game. It's sort of like thinking it's a game when you take wild animals, you buy exotic wild animals, ship them from other countries, and you're very wealthy, rich out of the kazoo. You've got 5,000 acres of private land, and you bring all these wild animals there. There's no escape for them. And then you invite all your sick, depraved, lunatic, Freemason, loser, rich, wealthy lunatics to your compound to go hunting. And then, of course, when they capture these wild animals that have nowhere to go because it's a simulated reality, they all smile that they were able to capture a wild animal when it's all contrived. That's what they do. And they do it to humans too. They do it to people. I've never heard of that. I don't know what that is. Yeah, I'm not sure. But anyway, no, I can't do a screen share here. I don't think I can. Um, I think I tried to do that. No, I don't think I can. Let me just see 1 second here. Oh, I can share a screen. I can. I'm gonna. You know what? Well, I'll have to try that out next week because I'm tired. I'm gonna sign off. It's like almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I swore that by midnight I was going to be off because I started at 10:15. So, and most people don't want to go listen to a 2.5 hour long live, but same voice, same. Okay, well, thank everybody for tuning in here. Please remember to hit the thumbs up. If I bring up an article, I can screen share. Okay, well, I will try it next week. I'm going to sign off for now. Thank everybody for being here tonight and having this conversation. And I'll look forward to talking to you during the week and then in next week's live. Thank you. I will listen to it. Like after I sign off and I play it back, I'll hear it. Yeah, I'll hear it. All right. Thanks so much, guys.